Hey everybody, I'm Mike Baird, world-known recording and touring drummer. And if you're into gear like I am, or even if you're not into drum gear and you like a good story, you're in the right place. Welcome to Mike's Drum Cubby. Welcome, Cubbers. If this is your first time with us, the Cubby is really about this big collection of gear I have, but usually the stuff I use the most, or unique pieces I've added to my collection. But I also review new gear that's not part of my collection, at least not yet. And I also share a story, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that, even if you're not into gear. So anyway, if you dig the channel, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, send me a comment. All right, let's get to the drum. The Baird Heuer. Here's a one-off that wasn't supposed to be a one-off, but there you have it. More on that story on how this all came about at the end of the video, so stay tuned to that. The drum, as the name says, is a collaboration between myself and my tech, Chris Heuer. I will never get rid of this drum. It sounded good when we made it, and it's even better now. If you're not into great sounding wood drums, this is not the drum for you. But if you are looking for a diamond in the rough that can be used as an incredible utility drum, this is it. Great mid-range to this drum and likes all tunings. It's a 5.5 by 14 painted in a Duco finish, which Chris did, and I found one of the easiest throw-offs I could get at the time. The Baird Heuer is light compared to lots of today's drums, which, as you know, are like boat anchors, some of them, or door stops. Most of that's because the hardware is much heavier than it was years ago. Chris looked to find stuff that was lightweight but durable. Here's the throw off, the butt end. Sorry, no logo. Okay, we got the Baird Heuer. I left it at the tuning where it was at, and then we'll take it down, maybe take it up from here, but it was sounding good here, so I wanted to leave it. There we go. So I added, since I tuned it down, I added two more pieces of duct tape. I added one at about 7 o'clock and one at about 8 o'clock. So about here and here, plus the pieces that were already there. And now we're here. So we're pretty low. Anyway. So now tuning the Baird Heuer, it's up there. It's still got the same padding. I might, if I mess with it, maybe take a little of that off, but it sounds pretty good. So we'll leave it. Here we go. Okay, we're back. Anybody want to guess the weight of this drum? 6 pounds, 2 ounces. So anyway, the story goes like this. I was down at Chris Heuer, my tech's place, and there was this older Ludwig drum there. And I asked him, I said, "Oh, what's the story with this?" He goes, "Oh, it's mine. It's like it's an older, like, 30s 30s Ludwig wood drum. And I was like, oh, can I hear it? And he goes, yeah, sure. He drags out a stand. We put it on there. I hit it like 6-7 times. It's like, wow, this thing's got some mojo to it. He goes, yeah, it's a great sounding drum. I said, you know, all of a sudden it dawned on me, hey, Chris, would you have eyes to maybe make something like this, like try to replicate it? He goes, yeah, sure. So that sent us down this rabbit hole for the next hour or so while he's working. We're round tabling about what we do. The idea was to make a 5.5 by 14, make a limited run, you know, with our name Baird Heuer on it. And then once those are done, and make it affordable so people could buy them. And then, you know, 5-10 years, they sound even better. And they're still worth even what you paid for it, maybe even more. And then do a 6.5 by 14. So I said, well, who are we going to have make the shell? And he says, what about Von Krav, like John at Von Krav? I said, oh, that's great. Yeah, I got these tambourines. Let's do that. So I call John. We round table. I tell him what we want. Chris tells him we want to do this. We want this ply structure, this, that. We're going to do this, that, and the other thing. So he makes us this prototype. And then Chris paints it, does this bitchin' job. I found the throw off, lightweight hardware, as I said. It's all bitchin'. And it sounds pretty darn close to this original, you know, vintage drum. But the idea was I wanted to make it even better. And so did Chris. We want to make it a little more modern, but still have that vintage mojo. So we called John and said, we want to do another prototype. And so I went down the wood trail with him. And we round tabled about that, and he sent me to his suppliers. So I ordered all the wood, and we had it sent to John. So John's all of a sudden, you know, texting and emailing Chris, like, what size did you want? And he's like, 5.5 by 14, 5.5 by 14. This goes on and on. I call him 5.5 by 14. The list goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, till finally the company goes out of business. And so that was the end of the Baird Heuer, at least for now anyway. But this drum sounds great, and I'll never get rid of it. It's just awesome. Anyway, so this reminded me of another little story. So back in the day, in the 70s, late 70s, I was doing a lot of the Mike Post and Pete Carpenter TV shows, like Magnum P.I., Hill Street Blues, Greatest American Hero, Baba Black Sheep, you know, Hunter. I mean, like all these great shows, TV shows. Well, Lee Sklar was the bass player on that, amongst a lot of other cast of characters. And so Lee and I, on a break, usually when we do a lunch break, like if we were doing in between shows, like we do a Magnum in the morning and then do a Hill Street Blues or a Greatest American Hero in the afternoon, you know, there would be an hour lunch break. Well, we wouldn't take a lunch break. We would just walk the lot. And back in those days, the Munster House and Lee Beaver House and all those great houses from those old TV shows were down below where all the back lot is now. And yet now they moved all that stuff up top where you hear Asteria Lane. That was the original, you know, that's where they put the Munster House and the Marcus Welby and all that kind of good stuff. You know, all those old TV show houses. Even though the Munster House doesn't look really like the Munster House anymore. I mean, it's all painted nice and whatever. Where back in the day it was all dilapidated and, you know, the funky thing for the Munster House. Anyway, there's two streets up there now, Elm Street, which was a newer street, and then that street they built and put all the old homes there. But anyway, so we would walk this back lot. The funny thing is, we would wave to the tourists because we were kind of a pair. You know, Lee is a tall guy. He's got this big, long beard. And I'm a kind of a shorter guy. I'm 5'7", and bigger around. So we're kind of a odd-looking pair, to say the least. So the tourists are always waving and we're waving at them and whatever. Well, anyway, one day we walk down the street and we go inside the Munster House and we're waiting for the tram to come by. And the tram comes by. Then we walk out the front door together. We're waving and all the cameras come up and they're taking pictures and waving, whatever. We just had a blast. They also had another thing there called the Parting of the Red Sea, and I don't think it's there anymore. But anyway, it's where you rolled up and like the 10 Commandments, you know, he waves his hand and it's the Parting of the Red Sea, and then the tram drives through this thing. So anyway, we would walk behind the tram, you know, because there's no water. It drains all out in this section, but there's water on both sides. Anyway, so that's just, I thought of a kind of a funny story, and we always got our picture taken with people in the tram. It was really a lot of fun in those days. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that story with you. Well, anyway, we've come to the end of another episode of the Cubby. If you dig it, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, send me a comment, and what do we say?
And that's it.
And we'll see you in a minute.
Yeah? What do you want?